Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Scale Up Your Business, and I am so excited. There's not a lot that we get excited about here, but as small business owners, any opportunity is incredible. And on today's episode of the Scale Up Your Business podcast, we're joined by the one and only Leslie Acosta. She's an MBA, a seasoned educator and strategist with over 25 years of experience in the public policy and business management sectors. Leslie currently serves as the Outreach and Engagement Manager for the Philadelphia Department of Commerce, where she helps shape strategies to support small businesses in accessing resources, capital, and opportunities to grow. She also shares her expertise as an adjunct professor at Eastern University, teaching in the business, esports, and media and technology division. She's equipping students with the tools they need to succeed in today's evolving business landscape. We are so excited to have her dive into her work at the Commerce Department and specifically around the Catalyst Fund and what it means for small businesses here in the city of Philadelphia. Leslie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sakia. Thank you for the introduction to your audience. My name is Leslie Acosta, the Outreach and Engagement Manager for the Department of Commerce. I also want to introduce my deputy, Salim Wilson, who is the deputy of the Mayor's Business Action Team and also a deputy for capital projects at the Department of Commerce. So thank you for this invitation, and I'm happy to discuss Catalyst today.
Oh,
Right, that's the topic.
absolutely. And we have a live audience. We are streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So, guys, if you are watching in the audience and you have questions, we do have some questions that we are already going to be asking Leslie, but we do have an opportunity for information sessions. But if we have time during the interview today, I might be able to pose them. But if not, you will have an opportunity to come to a virtual information session. So please be sure to let us know in the chat if you have questions, because the more questions that they get now, they'll be ready to answer them if they don't already have those answers.
Right.
But Leslie, we've
Yes.
said Catalyst Fund several times. What is the Catalyst Fund and what makes this program different from other small business funding opportunities?
Good question, Sakia. Well, the Philadelphia Small Business Catalyst Fund is designed to stimulate economic growth, right? It's so this fund, the Catalyst, is a 5 million investment to accelerate growth of small businesses and entrepreneurs. And so the grants can range from 10,000 up to 50,000 for business support and for advisory services to ensure long-term success of a business. So in essence, in a nutshell, that's what this is what Catalyst is. This is what it is to stimulate economic growth for small businesses.
And it's a grant. I want to like harken in
Right.
on that. We hear a lot about loan, but this is actually a grant, correct?
Right. So this is a grant, right? But it's beyond funding, right? In addition to the grant, this is also about support, right? Business support, right? Providing some advisory services to the businesses. So we want to make it kind of innovative, but at the same time, we want to be able to infuse capital, right? The goals basically is to provide funding for growth-ready businesses, and based on demonstrated need, growth potential, and even economic impact, right? We want to be able to see that. Help businesses scale their operations, right? Connect businesses to comprehensive support. That includes, as mentioned previously, business education, capital, and strategic guidance, right? That's the idea behind the goals behind Catalyst. But yes, this is a grant.
Absolutely. That's fantastic to hear. And who is the Catalyst designed to support? Like what types of businesses or industries are you really focused in on and hoping take advantage of this opportunity?
So we're looking for small businesses, entrepreneurs, right, that have innovative ideas. Uh, Industries that we're looking at would be the sciences. It would be we're looking at uh, So manufacturing, nighttime and creative economy, commercial corridor real estate acquisition, owner occupied, and all businesses needing or meeting the eligibility requirement could apply for the Catalyst Fund. So, as a recap, we're talking about manufacturing, nighttime and creative economy, commercial corridor real estate acquisition, owner occupied, make that very specific, and all businesses needing or meeting the eligibility requirement, they can apply for funding in addition to these industries.
Got it. And we do have one question that came in from the audience. Is there a credit score requirement?
Um, I don't want to, that's a good question. So I am going to delay answering that question because I really don't have an answer for that, but I can get back to you on that specific question. That's a good question, but I don't want to answer something that I'm not privy to currently.
Absolutely. And what does a strong at well, let's talk about the timeline for the grant because I know that there's like information sessions. You're doing a whole lot of work right now to drive awareness
Right.
for small businesses, but then there's going to be an application cycle. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So there's a timeline, right? April, which is we're in the month of April now. We're doing the community engagement and workshops. And the goal of the workshops and the goal of this information session is to help businesses understand, the processes, right? We want to be able to provide a clear path for participation in these community outreach, answer questions and concerns, and then gather feedback to shape the program. So we're doing that in April, right? At the ending of April, we're looking at expression of interest, which will open, and this will be signups for updates and for consultation in the process. Then we're looking at May. May, we're looking to a full application. We'll be invited for folks, in the sense of, in May, confirm project location, asset project relevance, and then complete and submit an interest form. So that we're looking in May. In June, we're looking to award the first a grant, and that's going to be in the technology and science sector. So that's coming first, but that would be in June for that particular sector, which is in the science and technology.
Awesome. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and added a QR code to our stream. And if you're interested in attending either of those information sessions that we have scheduled, there's one for tomorrow, um, April the 8th at noon. And that's an actual webinar kind of format. So you can scan that QR code and you'll be able to register for that webinar. There is another one on April the 9th, which is the very next day at 6 p.m. So Leslie was kind enough to give us two dates, one in the midday for those of you that can make it for a lunch and learn, and
Right.
then another one at 6 p.m. So make sure you scan that QR code. I'll also include it in the comments as well for you to be able to access that. And you can choose whichever date that you'd like, and you'll be able to join one of those sessions and ask additional questions as
Yeah.
well.
And you know what, Sakia, I also, want to add to this particular topic of the timeline and also the design principle of Catalyst, right? We want to make this a collaborative effort, right? And fair and human. We're going to respect every idea and everyone as worthy of consideration, putting in the time to build trust by meeting people, what we're doing now, given this information, put in this information. We want to make it inclusive, welcome diverse perspectives and open doors for new audiences. That's the idea. We want to be able to reduce barriers to participation. That's why we are, coming out and doing these workshops and these interviews, right? And providing this information. We also want to be responsive, right? Amplify community voices and listen to the local need. And be thorough, be detail oriented from the start, and be transparent and honest, because we all know not everyone is going to have the opportunity to get the Catalyst grant, and we want to be very transparent about that, right? So collaborative, we want to be fair, we want to be human, respect every idea, inclusive, responsive, and we also want to be thorough. And so this is the purpose also of doing these interviews and these workshops throughout the city of Philadelphia.
Absolutely. And we're so glad that you're here for sure. And one thing I was going to ask, because you mentioned, of course, it's going to be competitive, right? It
Right.
is grant funding. But can you tell us a little bit about what makes a strong application? Because some people have this idea of a business plan versus a growth plan, and there is a difference, there's a distinction.
Right.
So, what's going to help people to stand out when they're applying for that grant?
Well, we want to be able to ensure that everybody has an opportunity to apply, right? But in essence, we're looking for folks that they have a clear growth plan, right? There's a difference between a business plan and a growth plan, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Talk the difference between both. We want people they have to be located, in Philadelphia, generate less than 2 million in revenue for 2024, a clear growth plan and readiness to scale. We're looking for those types of folks, right? In compliance with city taxes, registered and licensed in the city, able to accelerate your business goals with targeted funding and support. So, the ability to show that there's growth potential for your business, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're going to get more into a little bit of detail of that in our segment tomorrow, but kind of like an overview to answer your question.
That's fantastic. And you started to mention a little bit earlier that it's more than grant money. What I really love about it is this holistic approach that the city is taking, where it's not just money. We want to also set you up to succeed. So, can you tell us a little bit about how, like, let's say somebody gets the grant.
Right.
What is that going to look like in terms of additional support services, or just not necessarily holding their hand, but helping them to be successful with the grant?
With the grant. Yeah. Well, the idea is to a holistic approach, right? Is just not only about getting the grant, which is great, but also to get the support needed to ensure that the proper guidance that's needed, so that it can have a long-term success, right? That's the idea. And so the idea is to be able to infuse support with the mayor's business action team, which is the program right now that is the face of the city, the face of the mayor's office, right? And so, have people available within the mayor's business action team to also support, right, people that are getting this grant. We also have technical assistance within the commerce department, that those details are being worked out and massaged through as we speak. To be able to get folks tap into those internal resources that commerce provide, that are many, right? And so, just just have that well-rounded support to help businesses ensure the success of those businesses is really, in essence, what we're trying to accomplish here.
Fantastic. And we do have a couple of questions that have come in from the audience, and one of them came from Yoho. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but please, I'm sorry if I'm not. But how many years in operation must a business be in order to qualify?
Uh-huh. Well, that we're going to have to get back to you on that, right? There are certain details that we're working through right now. And so I don't want to give an answer that we have not solidified yet internally. So we would have to get back to you on that question.
Yep. And all of that information is also going to be on the portal that the Commerce
This is-
Department has put out.
That's
It
correct.
has a lot of the requirements on there. So before the application and all of that information will be on there as
That's
well.
correct. That's correct.
And we have another question, and it says, is e-commerce online retail considered a qualified tech company?
So can you repeat that?
Yeah, is e-commerce online retail considered a qualified tech company?
That's a good question. I'm going to have to defer again because we're still working out the details of that as well. So I'm going to jot down that question and ensure to have a response. So even if we don't have a response today, Sakia, to the audience, I'm going to ensure to write these questions so that we can have a response to you for the audience as well.
Oh, absolutely. And what would you say? Like, I love the vision of this, but what's the big picture impact that the city hopes to achieve through the Catalyst Fund?
Yeah, we know, Zakia, that sometimes businesses, they don't have sometimes they don't have the money, right, the capital to kind of scale their business to another level, right. They can get support, they can get some resources, but sometimes what limits their ability to grow and to expand and to scale is funding, right. And
Mhm.
so the mayor's vision is to be able to infuse capital, um, to small businesses and entrepreneurs that normally don't get they have the vision, they have the desire to grow, they have the passion, but what limits them is the capital, is money to scale their businesses. And so the idea behind the impact behind Catalyst is to be able to say, okay, you have this innovation, you have this idea, you have this project. We're going to help you. We're going to give you a love fund, as they call it, to help you get to the next level. And so, in the grand scheme of thing, I think that's the idea behind Catalyst, able to help businesses that traditionally are not able to get funding, or there's barriers in getting funding. And I think that's the idea behind this.
Yeah. And one unique feature that I remember you all talking about is the ability to apply again if your business shows growth. Can you explain a little bit about, I know it might still be worked out or being worked out, but that's really unique. It's not like a once and done, see you later.
Right. So the idea also is, that if you get the funding the first year, the opportunity might exist to get it the following year, right? That is still being
Right.
worked out, right? We don't want to be able to or give information right now that we haven't solidified yet, but that those are discussions and like ideas that are being proposed, um, um, to answer your question.
Great answer. And so, my last question is, do you have any final thoughts or words of encouragement? There's going to be a lot of people that listen to this on the replay and they get really excited, or they're like, oh, maybe my business isn't, or any of those things.
Right.
And words of encouragement for business owners that are listening on, hey, the city has something for me.
Yeah. Well, we know that people get excited when they hear grant, right? Because it's free money, which is good. But we also want people to understand, right? And we have to be transparent about this, Zakia, is that yes, this is a grant, that commerce is a catalyst, right, of inclusive economic growth in Philadelphia, right? this is
Yeah.
this is the idea behind this. But I don't want folks to get discouraged if they apply and they don't get accepted, right? There's other opportunities that will exist. The idea is to have a starting point with Catalyst, and from there, grow this, right? Grow this to a point where it can really help have a huge impact on people that are creative, have innovation, have the desire uh, to go to the next level, but not to get discouraged if they do not get selected in the first go around, right? But to continue to be persistent, having a business or having an idea or generating ideas and being innovative, even if you're starting or even if you're in business or you've been in business, it's not easy, right? It's a struggle. It's ongoing, and there's growing pains when you're developing a business, or if you have a business already in business. There's challenges to this, and the idea is to help, where we can, but also not for folks not to get discouraged if they do not get selected for the Catalyst Fund, not to give up, if they don't get selected, and if they do get selected, right, able to use the money and the funding and the grant that's being given to you to really effectuate and have an impact, long-term impact on your
Right.
business, right, to help you scale and grow that business.
Wow. And I did say that was my final question, but I would be remiss because there is so much happening with the Commerce Department in terms of the coffee and commerce events. They are those monthly sessions
Right.
that are happening to help small businesses. Can you tell us a little bit about those? Because that's ongoing education and free and open for small business owners. Can you share a little bit about those opportunities as well?
So coffee and commerce, it's been around for quite some time. Credit to Michelle Price and to my deputy Celine Wilson. Right, what the idea of these coffee and commerce is to bring people together, network and opportunity, but also provide themes and resources and information for small businesses to help them. Right, whether it's and you've been to one of them, Zakia, whether it's on budgeting, whether it's on pricing, whether it's on commercial leasing, issues that really impact small businesses one way or another. And so we've developed some themes in coffee and commerce based on the experience of other coffee and commerce that were held previously, of feedback that was received from businesses on topics that they wanted to hear more of. And so the idea was to be able to develop these themes, bring these coffee and commerce to the community, to the neighborhood, bring expert subject matters to the table to give information, provide information, right, to the small businesses, just for help, for support, for information. And so the idea is to really support small businesses, but also to help them, right, with information. And so this, our next coffee and commerce is public safety. We have a full suite of high profile panelists that will be on the panel. And we're talking about public safety as it relates to small businesses and how they can navigate those challenges. As you know, we're in some challenging times here in the city of Philadelphia. And so, yeah, so the idea is to bring information and resources right to the community and to the business owners. And this is citywide. So everyone is invited to these coffee and commons.
That's awesome. And I'm going to also put the Commerce Department website
Yes.
in the chats, but it's, let's see here. I have, let's see if it'll actually go. Let's show that on the screen there.
Yep.
It's phila.gov/departments/Department of Commerce. And then that way you can get all of the information about the upcoming programs and the events. There's also other opportunities. I also interviewed Liam, and he told us all about storefront, in
Yep.
store,
Yep.
Creole. Like there are so many programs that are available
So there's a
through.
yep,
Go
yep.
ahead.
So there's additional programs, right? Other programs that Commerce, outside of the Catalyst support programs that we're discussing, but there's other programs within Commerce. You got the Quality Jobs program, Zakia. The offering for that is 7,000 per new job created, up to 25 jobs. The eligibility for that is to be located or in Philadelphia, full-time employees, and pay minimum hourly wage, and pay health insurance and pay time off. That's the Quality Jobs program. We have the in-store forgivable loan up to 100,000 for retail and food businesses. The eligibility for that is for businesses must be a retail or a food related and located in an eligible commercial corridor. We have the commercial real estate loan, which is the Creole program, right, up to 350,000. You must be registered and licensed within the city, a credit score of 550 or greater for the commercial real estate. We have the storefront program, right? 50% reimbursement up to 15,000 for exterior renovations. It must be an improved corridor. We have that program. We have the business security program, grants of up to 3,000 for a security enhancement citywide, or 100% funding in targeted areas. We have Philadelphia Business Lending Network, which is the BPLN neighborhood funding stream. So there's a host of programs, right, internally that businesses can go on that website that you just showed there,
Mhm.
and just browse through them and see, what fits their business model, and if they can qualify for any of those programs that you just listed.
Absolutely. So, Leslie, I don't have any other questions. I think you have really provided a really well rounded description of number one, what the Catalyst program is for,
Yep.
who it's for, and that basic timeline of that application starting, right in May. And so we do have those information sessions. I'm going to go ahead and put that QR code up one more time just so people can register. I'll also include a link
Yep.
as well. So let me grab that one here. So be sure to scan the QR code so that you can sign up for the information sessions where we'll go into a little bit more detail about the application, requirements. All of that information will be shared tomorrow as well as Wednesday. So if you scan the QR code, you'll be able to get to the registration page and you can choose Tuesday, April the 8th at noon or Wednesday, April the 9th at 6 p.m. And then we will be able to have Leslie in a more intimate setting where she can answer your questions. And I just want to say a huge thank you for coming on to the Scale Up Your Business podcast and sharing so much information about not just the Catalyst grant, but the investment that the city is making in small business and the variety of programs that they're offering. So, Leslie, I just want to say a huge thank you for that. And I'll see you on the next episode, everyone. Go ahead, Leslie. I'll leave you the last words.
Thank you, Zakia, for this opportunity and for allowing the Commerce Department to present on in your podcast. And yes, we will see you tomorrow. We'll get more into detail, delve more into the details of what Catalyst is. Just want to leave you with this. You know, Commerce is dedicated, Zakia, to delivering service excellence to the businesses. We want to enhance access to resources for all entrepreneurs and small businesses across the city of Philadelphia. Our goal is to activate neighborhood economic growth. We want to be able to advance innovation, workforce solutions, but we also primarily, our goal is to proactively attract and retain businesses within the city of Philadelphia. So that's our ultimate goal. Thank you again for allowing us to come and present this information to your audience.
Oh, thank you so much. And everyone, that will be a wrap for today's episode of Scale Up Your Business. I am Zakia Ringgold, and it has been a pleasure to have Leslie here. Be sure to check out the LA21 blog where you'll get all the show notes and links to everything that we mentioned today. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye
Thank
bye, everyone.